The ultimate fishing experience is brought to you by Lund Boats. This week on the ultimate fishing experience, we're off to Broken Bow Reservoir in southeast Oklahoma. At a time when most northern lakes are still ice-covered, spring fishing patterns on this southern Highland impoundment are in full swing.
There you go.
The picturesque, unspoiled body of water awaits winter-weary anglers longing to stretch their lines. Today, we invite you to ride along as we join legendary angler Bobby Murray, winner of the very first Bassmasters Classic. You'd think bass would be first and foremost on his mind. But Broken Bow's famed slab crappies are what draws Bobby and longtime friend Steve Hoskins, a crappie aficionado in his own right.
You come to this part of the country, you'll catch yourself some outstanding crappie, both black crappie and white crappie. Whew, I love these things.
So it's time to dig out those jigs, fire up the GPS, and get the crappies a-flopping, Southern style.
Here you go, Steve. Set that stuff up in the boat. Today we're in southeast Oklahoma on Broken Bow Reservoir. It's one of the Highland reservoirs in the Ouachita Mountains. We have opportunity today to catch crappie and bass. The crappie ought to be staging coming off the beds, and the bass should be setting right on the beds. We catch them on topwater and dingers. Ought to be a great day here in southeast Oklahoma on Broken Bow Reservoir.
Can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be.
You know, Broken Bow Reservoir is a real unique fishery in that it's one of the Highland reservoirs across the country that does not have that apex predator, striped bass or hybrids in it. It has a lot of different fishing in it. It's got good walleye fishing, good bass fishing, good crappie fishing, and some excellent bluegill fishing during the year. But it's a unique reservoir in that it's right on the face of the prairie. When you look at this, we're in the mountains over here, and you get a lot of fluctuation in depth. It's nothing for this lake to come up 15, 20 feet. I've seen it come up 40. But it is one of the best Highland reservoirs across the country. And you know, this Highland reservoir belt runs almost all the way to the East Coast. But most of those other Highland reservoirs have either stripers or hybrid stripers in them. This one is unique that it doesn't, so it has a real good bait population and is a tremendous fishery. Hopefully, we'll be able to show you some of that today. This time of year, in late April, the crappie and the bass are both real active. The crappie are just now moving off of the beds. You'll have some in shallow water, but big bunches of them are moving off on some outside brush, a little bit deeper brush. And I think today we're going to start with some crappie and really try to see if we can find a school of them that are setting on some of this outside brush. If we're lucky, we'll find a big wad of them sitting right on the top of a brush pile that's in about 25 feet of water. Of course, the bass are scattered up and down the bank too. They're about 3/4 of the way through their spawn, so it should be a pretty good day. The weather's nice. I hope we can catch them. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be able to use your electronics properly when you're looking for crappie or bass or any species. Notice here that I've got my little icons marked. I've already pre-marked my brush piles so I know where they are, and I'm using my regular sonar when I get over the top of them. When I'm looking for the fish on the brush piles, however, I'll usually go to pages and I'll be looking for them by using the down scan. But when you move at very slow speeds, your down scan gets kind of hazy. It doesn't show as good a picture as it does when it's moving 2 to 3 miles an hour. So I just go to pages and come up and go to sonar. And now I can see the target so much better with sonar. Being able to move from down scan to sonar when you're fishing like this is so important. People don't realize how many more you can catch when you really understand and use your electronics to the maximum to give you the best opportunity to catch a fish. I'd soon leave my rod at home as leave my doggone lance at home. Over the years of my professional career, here's one right here, a pretty good one. I used right over the top of him. Oh, and this is a nice crappie. Let me just lift this one in right here. I got him. And this is what you catch when you can use your electronics properly. I guarantee you, you'll put more fish in your live well than anybody around you. And that right there is a pretty nice crappie.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mercury Marine, #1 on the water.
You know, in different parts of the country, people use different sizes of jigs. In real cold water, they tend to fish a little bit smaller, and then as the water gets warmer, they'll start fishing a little bit bigger. We use 2-inch up to 2.5-inch in a variety of colors. You can use pearl, you can use chartreuse. You don't have to move it much. It looks just like a little minnow as it's coming through the water.
There's one.
Nice one, Steve. Very good. Oh gosh, there's your good white crappie. You know, when you're crappie fishing, and especially vertical, it's all about dropping, and I'm constantly watching my screen here and seeing how high the fish are suspended on top of this brush. I've got 7 foot of line out, the length of my rod. So when I drop it in the water, I let it come to tight, raise it up one time, and that's about at the height of my front of my Lund boat. That's about 17 feet. So I know that I'm dropping it down about 17, and I'm not overworking the jig. This is something that a lot of people want to do, is they want to jig it up and down. You want to just sit there, hold it, and maybe just vibrate the end of your rod tip. They don't like it jigging up and down. They like it at a depth and just wiggling. And what I'm doing now is I've got it down, and I'm looking to ease right up over the top of it. Here comes some brush and some fish. I see them all the way from 10 down to 12 foot. I'm going to raise this up just a little and just see if I can just hold that little old jig right over there over the top of them. It's pretty good.
That's a better one.
Yeah, a little better one. Here, let's get him on this side over here. You ready?
Ready.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa!
He unhooked himself. That's a pretty nice crappie right there now. Yes, sir. We need to catch more just like that one. Very important to be able to drop buoys when you're fishing this open water brush like this, because it gives you the reference so you can stay on the fish. Without it, we'd be looking for the brush, and I know pretty well where the brush is just by where I've got my buoys positioned. Another thing, when you're moving with your trolling motor like this and looking for them, it's real important to have a real low diameter line. That's why we use 4-pound test. You know, 6 would be better. I could get some of my jigs back. But as you're traveling, you want that jig to stay directly under the boat. See, I can see them right there at 15 to 16. I'm going to drop it just a little bit down, about 3 or 4 feet. And I'm just trying to work it right over the top of the brush. Oh, there's a pretty good one.
Oh, was that a good one?
A little better than the average one. Yes, sir. Here you go, Steve. Yeah, there's what we're looking for. Real nice crappie. Notice how they just swallow this whole thing. When you're vertical jigging it, it allows them to swim right up to it and really swallow that little old jig. I guarantee you, these things are nice. Steve, here you go. Y'all don't go away. When we get back, I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques that we use to catch these real good crappie out of these Highland reservoirs. There's basically two types of rods that we use. What we really prefer to use is a little float rod. This is a little 1-inch foam bobber and 4-pound test line, 7-foot light action. You cannot have it too light action. And we can set the float at any depth, and when we catch them suspended, this is death on them. One thing good about this is you very rarely hang up, so you don't lose a lot of jigs. If they don't hit the float rig, we'll usually go to a tight line rig. This is 4-pound test, about a 7-foot, a little bit stiffer rod because you're going to have it in the brush some. Two good techniques to catch big crappie in the springtime. There he is.
You got him?
Yeah. Ooh, a nice one.
Yes.
A little nicer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the
Hey, there's a nice one right there. Look at the mouth on that black crappie. A big old nice one. I tell you what, this has been a pretty good morning fishing for these crappie. We've beat up on them pretty good, caught some big ones, caught some little ones, but this one right here is a great one. I tell you what, Steve, we've caught us a bunch of crappie. We beat up on these things for about 2 hours. Let's go see if we can catch us some largemouth, all right? Outstanding. You know, over about 40 years of fishing all around the country, I've owned about everything from Rangers, Triton, Hydrosports, Stratus boats. I've done the bass thing, fished the bass tournaments, but once I got through the bass tournament in my career and got to where I just enjoy fishing and I want to fish a lot of different kind of water, I had the opportunity one time to fish with a guy in Minnesota out of a Lund boat. And when I did, I was so impressed because the boat maneuvered better at low speed. You can back it up in a straight line. It had all the storage in it. I know that somebody that's fished for a long time laid this boat out, and I'm so proud he did because I'm the owner of this one. When it comes to propellers and propping out your boat, it's all to, you know, what you really are trying to make the boat do. I'm looking for more mid-range performance than top-end performance. To be able to carry a load, carry a full tank of gas, with a boat pop up on plane real quick, and if it runs good, gets good fuel efficiency at that way, then my range is further in the boat. Now, if you're looking for just strictly top-end performance, you might go to a 3-blade propeller. For myself and what I like best, I like a 4-blade. I get good fuel efficiency. You know, used to it was about raw horsepower. Today's day and time, it's about sipping the gas and getting the most for your money. And mid-range performance is where that is. You know, one of the main reasons I love Broken Bow Reservoir so much is because you can catch so many different species. And now we're gonna throw this little yum dinger, wacky rig style, and see if we can catch some bass. Now the bass are right at spawn, post-spawn. They're just coming. So a little later we might even try topwater. But this has really been working good. See if we can catch one on it right here. A little better fish maybe. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Here you go, Steve. I'll have him up here. I'm gonna let him pull just for a second.
Oh gosh. That's a small one.
No, that's a largemouth. There you go. Get this hook out of there. Pretty nice largemouth. Well, notice how thick these things are. They've got such a large bait population in the lake. They really are healthy fish. Nice bass. And had him hung right there in the top of the mouth. There she goes. There's one right there, yeah. Oh, pretty good one. Not a bad largemouth right there. Come here, Fido. Oh. Walk for me. Not a bad little largemouth, is it, Steve? I tell you what, I love to catch these things. All right, you ready? Get back in there. Go make some babies. You know, a lot of people use a straight shank hook when they wacky worm a worm or a dinger. I prefer, this is called a rigging hook. It's an owner, extra sharp, and you can tell that this thing, I mean, it's real sharp because we're fishing light line. But what happens, the way the shank is made on it, when this thing comes through the water, this part of the hook falls down. And that way, you're protecting the point of the hook, and you got this bend here, so when it comes up on something, a lot of the time it won't turn completely over. It'll just lay on its side and pull the dinger over. And this is the hook we've been using for about 4 or 5 years, and it does a pretty good job. You don't have to set the hook real hard. If you just tighten it up, that hook is going to come through it, and it sets right up there in the top throat as it's sinking. I like that, the way it rigs there. You know, most of the anglers that have started fishing in the last 15 to 25 years really don't understand about the type of equipment that we use, the techniques that we use. World War II had a big impact on fishing. Most people don't realize that, in the fact that nylon was invented then. There was no monofilament line. Everybody was throwing braided line. Zebco made the first spin cast reel, which most people don't realize it, but Zebco stands for Zero Bomb Sight Company. They were making bomb sights for the bombers in World War II, and after the war was over, they got this little old patent for this little old reel and started making it, and I still got the first push button reel that I ever owned back, oh goodness, it had to be 1958 or 9 when I got mine. Boats were getting better, the trolling motors were getting better, depth finders were invented and they were getting better. And I was just fortunate enough to grow up in the fishing industry. And the day I graduated from college, I moved to Toledo Bend and was a fishing guide. And while I was there, BASS had just started then, and I was fortunate enough to be right in that first group that fished BASS, and qualified, and was probably the event that changed my life more than any other. Is I won the first World's Championship, the first Bassmaster Classic in 1971 on Lake Mead, and from that day forward I have literally made my living in the fishing business. It's just it's amazing that all the innovations that have come, and this is This has all happened because, you know, we've had probably 40 or 50 true pioneers in our industry, you know, over the years that came in, like Cotton Cordell and Jim Smithwick and Al Linder. All of these people have saw the need for new equipment and techniques and stuff, and they literally invented all the new paraphernalia that the consumer fishes with today. And you know, we're blessed to live in America. I mean, every day I wake up, I thank God I was born in this country, because where else can you be somebody that goes out and makes a good living all his life doing what most people do for fun? They really are healthy fish. Man, I tell you what, we've worked that little redfin out. You know, I've done TV shows for the past 40 years all over North America. We've had a great day fishing today, caught a lot of fish and had a lot of bites. But as they say in a lot of TV stuff, that is a wrap. We're out of here.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.